Back to another episode of Not So Wide Divide. Today, we're going to talk about something that's kind of, it's been important to me my whole life. Something that over the last, 5 or 7 years, I've thought it's the celebration of it and the talk about it is a little bit off base for me, and that's Memorial Day. So, we'll kind of keep this one short and sweet because I know it's kind of a short and sweet topic. It's not something I want to rant about or go on for ever and a day about. But I think Memorial Day has gotten to the point to where it's just about sales and holidays and 3-day weekends, and it's something that we don't talk about actually what Memorial Day is and why we have it, and not necessarily the origin, because the origin of things is not something that I guess it gets lost a lot of times in many celebrations, but you always talk about July 4th and why we have July 4th or right. Christmas or, right. Even most recently, the whole Cinco de Mayo debate that I fight and argue with people every year. But this one is, to me, it's a little bit more personal. I come from a family of veterans. And so it does hurt my heart sometimes when I see certain things that happen on Memorial Day. And we'll get to that. I want to welcome back everybody again. We kind of have a new little setup, so hope y'all like it. Let us know. We still have some more stuff coming, but we're in our new spot. Looks a little better, a little bit more comfortable, at least in my eyes and everybody's eyes. We got our own little
move up
thing.
like George and Weezy.
That's it.
But slow progress.
Tory, what's your take on Memorial Day?
So, honestly, man, it was just another holiday. It was just a day. If it was in school, you got out of school. It was a day you got to eat barbecue, and just took a break. I honestly wouldn't tell you as a kid growing up I ever had much of Memorial Day and what it actually meant, but it was just a holiday for us. I'm not gonna lie to you at all. But being that I actually went to the service, and my service experience, man, it was great. It was like basic, and AIT was something like football. You just built a camaraderie with the guys that's around you, guys that when you first got there, you figure, hey, I'm just here for college money, sign on. I'm not thinking about going to war or nothing like that until you run on side of Skipper, who is the equivalent of the water boy that you play football with that doesn't know anything, and every time he salutes, his hand go this way, so everybody's doing push-ups, and that kind of broadened my horizon on Memorial Day, because to actually think like, yeah, you really could go to war and lose your life, and that'd be it, Yeah, you would have been and done your country a great service, and even your family. But until then, it was just a holiday for me.
Right.
How are you, Coty?
It a little different for me. Of course, I didn't serve in the military. But like most people around here, my grandparents both served, both my grandfathers. So they did a good job of teaching us the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. So yes, a holiday, kid, as a kid, you get out of school,
sure.
But my grandparents made a point for us to understand what it was, why we were out of school. We did the whole barbecue thing, right. Out together, but my grandfather, before we would eat, would actually stand up and explain Memorial Day and have everybody, just have a moment of silence to respect the troops and the sacrifice that they made. So I grew up understanding it, but it was just because I had family in the service that made sure that we knew it.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo what both y'all said. Growing up, it wasn't anything. It was a holiday. It was. I knew the difference again because family background and stuff like that. So you knew what the significance, I guess, was, but it
right.
wasn't. It wasn't of any true importance. It didn't
right.
have any real heartful meaning. It wasn't. We didn't have any. patriarch or, get up and give a good speech or anything like that at any of our barbecues and stuff. It was kids playing a water slide and, dad barbecues, neighbors come over. If you were lucky enough to get the slip and slide in the front yard, or the tarp or whatever you can get.
Right, whatever you can get.
But as I've gotten older, it's changed a lot for me. Like I was having this conversation with Coty the other day. We were talking about doing this podcast, and so a little history on me. I'm the first generation of my family that's not in the military. My grandfather's buried in Arlington Cemetery, Lieutenant Colonel in the Air Force, second highest command you can get. My mom moved all over the world. Mom was actually born in Japan on an Air Force base. Moved all around the country, career, military. My dad was drafted in Vietnam. My father's grandfather was in World War II. So having that military background in the family, you always discussed it. It was always about, the loss of lives and stuff like that. But until, so three years ago, so my mom had never been to her father's burial site because when it happened, she couldn't afford the transportation to get there. And it's something we always talked about growing up. Well, my mom started getting sick about 3.5 years ago. So I got with my sisters and I was like, hey, look, we got to get her there. But she was too proud for us to bring her there. So I made up this ridiculous story that we were going to bringing the kids to there's a water park. There's one in Dallas, the Great Wolf Lodge, indoor water park, hotel. Where are we going? We're going to Pennsylvania. She had no idea there was one right here in Texas.
All right.
So we flew in and called her brother, oldest brother, my Uncle Bill, who was also in the military, serving on submarines. Guys like ridiculous intelligence, speaks like 40 languages. So it's like, look, I need your help. I need any kind of little help getting this thing logistically done. I don't want her to know. We're going to fly into PA. We're going to do the thing. We're going to make the round to come back, pop up in D.C., and do it that way. Great, worked out, flawless. She had no freaking clue. We rolled up to Arlington. She's like, wait, this isn't Pennsylvania, And until I got there and I drove around Arlington and I sat there, dude, I tell you what, it is eerily emotional. Seeing my grandfather's grave, presidents, there's sections of it that are strictly for, soldiers lost in battle. There, of course, once you've served, if you've served, you can petition those signs that they'll put you up, put you in spots, but learned a lot about it and learned a lot about how that actually works, and it was overwhelming, man. It really was. I compare it to when me and my wife went to New York right after One World Trade was built, and if you've never been, where the buildings were, there's two huge fountains and little waterfalls, and in the middle of New York City, busiest, loudest city in the world. When you stand there and you're by those waterfalls, it's deadly silence. The only thing you hear is those waterfalls. You don't hear horns. You don't hear the traffic. You don't hear, and it's again, man, if it brings you back to 9/11 instantly. And that was kind of that's how I compared going to Arlington was. And we went and, we went to JFK's and we went to all, the presidents and all of the, I say all of them, not all of them, the ones you could go, Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and watch the whole exchange of the guards.
Now, for those that don't know, how long did it take you to drive around Arlington?
Dude, it's insane. You can honestly spend an entire day there. It's huge. I don't know the acreage. I don't remember.
Right, but it's big.
Yeah, right. But it's like 800 acres.
Even get smaller, neither.
No, it's like 800 acres. And again, they are expanding. There was a huge expansion project, and I'm going, and when you talk to the people, the workers, I don't know if they're rangers, park ranger, I don't know exactly what their titles would be, but they love their job. There's nobody that works there that doesn't. Right. That's not like, some even get like emotional with you, and it's so, man, from that. And it wasn't just that, but that was kind of my anchor. That's what kind of made it sink down and go, man, we doing this wrong. We're totally doing this wrong. Anything you hear about Memorial Day is the 3-day sales, car blowouts, retail this,
right.
And it's like, I get it. I get the retail, experience. You know, I mean, I'm in business. I understand that any little marketing tool you can use, you do it. But damn, this should not be one of them.
Right.
You know, I can't wait for any company to stand up and say, you know what, we're not. I mean, a retail, somebody that benefits from it. You know, and say, we're not going to open on Memorial Day. We're not going to have a 3-day sale. You know, come see us on Sunday, and we'll give you, you know, like, really take a moment and stop and think about, you know, we celebrate our independence like it's, you know, it's a celebratory party, in which it is. But we don't celebrate why we have that independence. Or not even celebrate it. We don't even discuss it. You know? And not that I want to mope and drag about it and say, oh, you know, it should be. It shouldn't. You know, I think any death should be a celebration of life, not a celebration of death. But, man, these guys and girls are, in my opinion, the ultimate heroes. That most of them go unsung.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Because and you read the stories about, you know, the history of Memorial Day, which was initially Decorations Day, started because of the so many lost in, you know, the Civil War. But, you know, in communities, little communities started it, and it kind of grown since then. And I want to say, I kind of wrote some notes. 1971, it was officially a national holiday, but it dates back to 1868. You know, I mean, that's damn. You know,
Right.
and with the amount of people lost by the Civil War, communities truly felt that. And they're like, hey, we got to do something about it. You know, we got to recognize this. And I think, man, all my life, I don't ever remember, you know, we went to some places like holiday-wise, you know, you vacation on these, you know, and there's been some small communities that I've seen that really celebrate it. You know, it's flags but it's not party. It's not, you know,
Right.
it's a pause and think kind of celebration.
I would. When did it become commercialized? Like, was that?
That's a great question.
Like, I wonder if it was done differently in our grandparents' day, you know, or done differently during the Nam era, or done.
No doubt about it.
Where you actually felt those losses.
Yeah.
You know, with the bigger wars and
I mean, I think our society in those times were more heartfelt and
true.
I don't want to say truthful, but they were more real.
So
You know,
just with the elevation of times, though, to us, like we say, when we was growing up, it was just like a holiday to us, right? So to people that probably came before us, it was more of maybe reliving or rehashing people that really lost, you know?
Right.
And like you say, we got so many troops and veterans that come home to nothing and just mentally challenged and just, you know, just, I don't want to say crazy, man, because when you up there and you constantly thinking about protecting someone and that's all you thinking about and that's all you live, eat, and breathe as a soldier, I believe it could be stressing for them. And going forward into the media world, like we say, you know, I think maybe, yes, business-wise, but a lot of ways it came commercial was probably to try and dampen the hurt. I don't want to say that's the exact reason, but that's just
I mean, it's a
how
good
I'm
point.
thinking of it, you know.
Absolutely. I would hope that it is.
Right.
I hope it wasn't just to monetize sales and
Right.
to give
You know, 'cause
an
when-
extra blowout.
Just growing up, man, and thinking about the first black and white TV, like a lot of our first visuals were from whatever was going on with our military and what was ever in the news. We had a little dibble and dabble of sports. So coming up in those times, you only thought about economics from war and just who's coming back to work and this and that. So I'm going to try, not saying it is, but that's where the commercial part came from, just to try to, even though it's now that we're talking about it, it's even horrible to try to dampen it because we really got completely away from it.
Yeah.
You know?
And you don't really think about it until you start talking about it.
Right.
You know, I honestly never, like I said, until the last few years, kind of really stood back and I was like, man, you know, because again, every Memorial Day, it's my first thought is that trip to Arlington, and it just as the years go on, it's harder and harder for me to sit here and, you know, watch these crazy sales and these companies promote money when it's like these guys gave the ultimate sacrifice,
Right.
and you're monetizing it, and that just bothered me, like I'm not saying you have to close your business. I'm not saying that you can't do things, but again, if you want to continue and you want to take that opportunity, monetize it and say everything sold on proceeds of whatever sold on Memorial Day go to a veterans fund or
some type of veterans fund. You're
man.
right.
God, or Wounded Warriors or some of these programs that, because again, it's hard to do something for the ones that we lost, or those families. That's tough.
Right.
But boy, you can do something for the ones that are still here.
But there are programs out there that'll actually pay off the house of the spouse of a fallen soldier.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I know that. That's what I'm saying. But you can,
there's organizations out there that help with that.
No doubt, and that's a good point.
And
I think
that would be a good one for these businesses
Right.
to donate some of those funds to.
And they may,
They might,
and they really
I'm sure
may.
there
I
are
think
some out there to do it, right?
I think
you're right. I think there is.
just coming into the, if I could say, the new world, and just looking at how not a ultimate turnover, but just for African Americans with businesses now, and corporate businesses. Like a lot of corporate businesses are reaching out to support small African businesses and stuff like that. So if I know that that's happening right now, we would be blind to think that something what these companies are doing with this money isn't being somehow transferred to our veterans in some form or some way. Not saying a big percentage is given. I'm just saying that, being that we're not sitting at that table.
I think we would know it if they did it.
That's
You
where
think,
I
so?
was
You think they would broadcast it?
Yes.
And they broadcast when they. I love it, and you guys both know that on the business side of me, I do a lot,
Oh yeah.
and I ask of nothing. Right? You
Facts.
are never gonna see me have a $400 large 9-foot check that says.
Right.
Now that check costs about $200 for somebody to send you the check. I love it when I see these big ass checks and it's got $1,000 written on it.
Right.
I'm going. You spent $200 on the check that you just wrote for
They spent $2
$1,000.
on the advertising.
That's
That check,
ridiculous.
right?
No, and that's what. Yeah, so that's what I'm not saying that a company shouldn't get some kind of recognition for what they do. I don't like it when they self-promote it.
Well, and one of the things that aggravates me to no end with social media, man, is when you see these posts, and whatever. Look,
No,
man,
be
man,
specific.
I just bought. Well, I will, but I'm just trying to find a scenario to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. If I went buy a bike for a homeless person or whatever, or buy a jacket for a homeless guy, and I bring it to him, I smile for a picture, I post it on my Facebook page, look how good of a person I am, look what I did. You didn't buy that jacket for that homeless person.
No.
You bought that jacket so people think you're a good person. You didn't buy it because you are a good person.
So
There's a difference. There's a difference if I'm giving this jacket and Tory's passing by and sees me,
And
takes
takes
a
a
picture of it, and he posted.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, dude,
There's
you know
a
that's-
difference in that.
You're a YouTube person. I'm
Yeah, I
just
love
dabbling in
YouTube.
since we're doing that stuff.
Yeah.
Never.
Oh no, I watched the hell out of
That's
it.
big business in YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
look at like Mr. Beast and some of these guys. Like,
Right.
dude, they spend
My son likes
millions of dollars a month
Yeah.
on just randomly giving. And I get it; it's a great act. It's a great act of kindness. It's a great
Right.
gesture of generosity. But you're only doing it because you can get the millions off from sponsors.
But
and
I don't think,
like,
but Mr. Beast doesn't hide that.
I get it,
Like-
and I'm
like
not
that-
saying he does. I'm not.
And,
I'm right.
and I'm fine if you open it. That's why I'm doing it. I'm fine with it. My problem is the ones that try to do it, but they try to make it look like they're doing it because they're a good person.
real subtle.
So
Yeah, like I'm such a great person. Look at me, So that's what I'm saying. I think those businesses would
right.
absolutely advertise that because they think it would make them look good, and it would. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it would. And again, if
Right.
the intent goes back to our words,
Right.
actions, everything we go, is if their intent is to increase sales, to increase the money they're donating, rock on.
Well,
Right?
that's a big part of it, though. At the end of the day, because like you say, you're a businessman. Like, you're not going to do anything that's going to take away from the business.
Right.
See, that's where I
Some do.
Absolutely.
Some do.
There's no time that I have ever donated money or time, and it's always at the cost of my business because I'm not asking for anything in return. Right?
In your head.
Not just in my head.
But
so when we go to work, right, or when we go to practice, you know, we do subtle things to be able to make the job work. And it may not pay off for us right then and there, but down the line, without consciously doing it for that reason, it pays off. It's
I mean, that's like the whole thing of, you know, do good and good comes back to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I understand that point. And you're absolutely right. I mean, whatever you put out in the universe, you get back. I'm 100% believing that. My wife says like every day of my life.
Yeah, I agree with
you
that
know,
too.
there's no doubt about it. But I guess where on the business, like when I said the business thing, like there's a lot of good that a lot of businesses do that never get the recognition or that never come back financially.
But it's not even just that. Some of these businesses, and especially in today's environment, they get political. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that whatever side of political spectrum you're on, you're alienating yourself from a large portion of the population. Rather than
true.
Rather than just selling your goods. So there are businesses that'll do things that it doesn't particularly make good business sense.
Absolutely.
You know.
So
positioning and
right.
Once again,
like I don't care.
I didn't even say if it was good or bad. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, I don't see any businesses whenever they step out.
No, not destroy it. Nobody's
At the same time, I mean, a lot of unspoken word, when it is spoken, it becomes magnified. So if you, let's say, for instance, with the turkey giveaway, you know, Jarred didn't really know about none of that. You know what I'm saying? And then when he found out about it, not me come and brag to him, hey, Jarred, this is what I do. Well, Tory, let me jump in. Let me help you. Can I donate? Can I do this? That's what I meant. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's not always a, hey, big poster sign, I'm doing this, come here, you know, pat me on my back type deal. And to retrospect what you were saying, a lot of that does happen, Coty. A lot of people go out, see somebody that needs something, here you go. And, you know, I believe the initial idea is to let me help this person, but somehow they get overdrawn and maybe feel like nobody's ever going to believe them. And I'm just sitting there as devil advocate.
You're
you
right,
know,
though.
Not
you're
really,
absolutely right. There's no doubt in my mind.
Here they go. Now they looking shallow. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's the thing. Like, if I go, and I have done things for homeless people.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw you on TV one time when you gave a bike out when you early in your career.
To me, it's not. But it's not about recognition. It's not about like. If I go give an old jacket that I have to a homeless guy because he's cold on the side of the road, I don't care if anybody ever knows that. The man got a jacket.
Right.
You did it for yourself.
Right. Like, I'm not doing that for me.
Yeah.
You know.
And look, there are. I don't want to, like Tory said, I don't want to paint every business with the same brush either way. There are businesses out there that do so many things
you never even hear about.
And you never will. Right. And hats off to you, kudos, thank you, because more need to do that. And again, I challenge myself. I challenge any business owner out there that you're in the retail space and you want to, you know, have your Memorial Day blowout sale and your 3D red tag sales at your car lot. Man, look, if you're a car lot, give a car away on Memorial Day, right? Find a lost soldier. Find a family that lost a soldier that's got 5 kids and give them that minivan. You know, you want promotions? I promise you have a line of people next year. You have a line of people showing up. Because you give them away on YouTube and you give them away to random people. And you know, like, man, make it stick. You know? It's tough. Like, you know, I'm in a business that really, you know, look, we close. You know? Go home with your families. Go home with your loved ones. Spend time. Because, look, I tell everybody this, and it's a saying that I say constantly. I can make more money. I can't make more time.
That's true.
You know, time is an asset that everybody is losing.
Fast.
You know, yeah. Rolling on 40 this year. Like, whoa, what a time went.
Fast, man.
So, yeah, I mean, and just sitting back and when you think about, you know, Pat Tillman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? No, go ahead.
Nah.
No, go ahead.
Because, man, once again, that's another great tragedy of the USA. It's hard to even believe anything you hear about Pat.
It's true.
Because any man that leave millions on the table to go and pick up a gun and protect people that he may never see in his life, that's a hero in itself, And then the friendly fire stories, that's another heart-wrenching story in itself. Like, come on, man. Like, it almost make you want to, and I never do this, but just, I'm human, and we all human, and you sit down and wonder, like, man, did guy really have that story for him?
Right.
It's
So
low. You're definitely not the only one that's questioning.
Right. So the Pat thing, man, rest in peace and thanks, but man, that's a hard one for me.
It is. And I think for us, being football players, being brothers on the field, and for him to happen that way, we all know how hard it is to make it in that league. And Pat wasn't highly drafted.
Right.
Pat wasn't, he was that Steve Gleason of the Cardinals. He was that guy that just worked his ass off day in and day out and made himself great. To walk away from that you've worked his entire life for, to jump back in. And again, he had that same mentality that he went from zero military background to an Army Ranger in a matter of months.
Right.
And it was like, man, I yes, heroic, but man, that's also somebody's got
selfless. That's selfless. That is selfless.
The true definition of
right.
it.
When you think of the word hero, his name's always there with it, and it's for good reason. We talked about Pat the other day on the phone, and one of the things that we're saying too is the man, he could have finished and retired from his NFL career, and nobody would have thought lesser of him. Like, it's not something he had to do.
Right.
It's not like he was drafted or owed time or anything like that, and then had to go back to the military and go serve his country. He chose it. It just
and again, hindsight's always 20/20. But you imagine how much money if he'd have stayed in the NFL, played his career, donated 30% of his proceeds, and raised money for veterans. You could have raised hundreds of millions. Ice Bucket Challenge wouldn't have been about ALS. It'd have been about veterans awareness or something crazy like that. Like, when you look back at it and going, like you said, that's why I question, like, is that what God really had planned for this man?
Right. I mean, it's a name that'll forever be remembered.
Right.
Hopefully.
It should
pray
be.
That it should be.
Should
You're
be.
absolutely right.
It's a shining example of the American spirit and the fact that we are the good guys, and it goes on and on, man. It's one of those names that like I said, 20, 30, 40, 100 years from now, people should still remember the man's name.
I think they will, because it's associated with the NFL. And the NFL is going to do anything money grab that they can.
Well,
I hate to say that, but it's true. They're going to push Pat for whatever. I don't know.
Probably every memorial.
Well, they'll do memorial. That's what I'm thinking. It's when they.
Until somebody tops it, would you want them to do anything else?
No. Well, I don't. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it.
I know.
I question the motive of the NFL, why they do it. Right? There's no doubt that his family, I believe, is good with it. Right? And I'm sure they ask for some kind of transparency whenever they use his name and his likeness and his image to say, hey, look, where's this money going? I hope they would. The NFL is not known for making the right decisions when it comes to...
Nothing you're not telling me.
Yeah, I know. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I question when I see. I don't know what month or games that they wear the camouflage. The camouflage jerseys in the
yeah, I think that's
stuff.
Veterans Day.
Is it Veterans Day? I wasn't sure, but they always got that picture of Pat and they paraded it on so many commercials, and it's like,
well, it's the old grandfathers though. You know what I'm saying? It's the old grandfathers of the league, the old grandfathers of the country. Eventually, they're gonna take the guy way out. it may stay in the family, but take the guy way out. We all got to go God's way. So with the NFL, like you say, they are horrendous for making bad decisions. I honestly would knock them for the Pat decision. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not knocking them.
I'm not. I know what you.
I'm not.
Let me clear that up. I don't think you're knocking them at all.
I question the motive,
Right.
Behind it.
Right.
It's just so like when you sit and think about it, man. The guy with the status that he didn't have to be an Army Ranger. He could have went serve and probably drove a general's Jeep around and been a poster boy and never saw combat.
Yeah, it'd have been an Elvis Presley, kind of situation.
And look,
but he would have made a joke of the Army at that point.
I don't think so. Like I don't think anybody would have been like, Pat, you're a joke, because he still walked away from millions and went serve his country, but he didn't. Like he didn't take that route. That man went through.
I think in his eyes, like what Tory mentioned.
I'm sure
in
that's
Pat's
the reason
eyes,
why
there
he
would
did
have
it.
been no way in hell he'd have done anything
else
besides been elite.
Right.
But I bet he was offered. I bet he was
sure he
offered
was.
that by the Army, and like that's what I'm saying. Like it makes
Because
it
you know
even
how
more,
much bad press that they looking at going, man, this guy. And again, the way it happened, that makes it even worse. But they were just talking about if he dies in combat,
right?
Man, that's not gonna be good. Like especially now that he's America's poster boy for NFL bravery,
Right.
and heroic, sacrifice, and then for the friendly fire thing, it's like.
But think about that, man. Like you.
And wasn't that covered up for years? It wasn't.
I don't think it was covered up.
But
so
it wasn't.
much as-
It wasn't just.
It wasn't
openly
told.
when it happened. It was years
wasn't.
later that it came out.
But like the investigation into it took a while. And because
Well, spoken like a cop.
that's not it. It was suspected of friendly fire
From the jump.
From the jump. Okay, but they had, because it was a firefight. It wasn't like these guys were just walking one, tripped and shot him. Like they were engaged in combat. And
But you're a police officer. You know how forensic of a bullet works.
I get that.
That comes back in a matter of
But
no
you're
time.
talking about doing forensics on a bullet in Afghanistan in the middle of a war zone.
Yeah, but
That kind of stuff takes a little bit longer.
It doesn't
to
take
do,
years.
man. I get that.
that's all. I mean,
And I'm sure they probably on purpose made that report come out slower.
oh, no doubt. I think they
because
had
of the
no
bad
intention
press.
of it coming out until somebody finally said, "Hey, it's
Right.
going to come out eventually,
Right.
and it better be on our accord rather than somebody else leaking it,
But
because
my
that's just a
whole-
million times
My whole
worse."
point with it was, okay, Pat didn't have to go into the military.
We understand.
He joined it. And then when he went into the military, he didn't have to go into combat. And then when he went into combat, he didn't have to go into a combat unit that's going to see extensive action.
Oh yeah,
Like he chose
stay
all
embedded.
that on his own. Like I can't. It's hard for me to even fathom or put into words how heroic that is.
There's no doubt. I don't think you can. I don't think that unless, kind of like Tory said, until somebody else does something on that level, or I don't know if you can do greater, right? Like,
I mean,
there's no way
Look,
to measure
there's
truly, like,
there's like Medal of
that's-
Honor winners who would never,
no.
and you're not going to top those guys
No.
heroic. I'm talking about the selflessness.
Yeah. No, I agree.
But
It's-
once again, I mean, like we say, Pat is the ultimate because we see that he gave up a
It's the selflessness.
illustrious
Yeah.
life to
Right.
go and do this.
Right.
Now he is and will always be remembered as that. But we also got people that's leaving nothing
Yeah.
in hopes of going to be something in the service. You know what I'm saying? And not coming home too. So once again, the whole reason for having this debate is for all of them.
Right, right.
Not just that one, because not one just do justice. Somebody had to motivate that person to go and
Yes,
be in the service
yes.
and so forth and so on. So to everybody out there that did anything for us in the military, man, just thank you.
Yes.
For all the lost
Thank you.
souls out there, no matter what the cause was, you had orders to go somewhere and put your life on the line to serve and protect people back home. And even though you did it, that's scary, man.
Oh, absolutely.
That's still scary. And even for people that go put themselves on the front line, I believe that's scary for them. But that's their calling. And hats off to him, man.
So, Tory, what was your experience while you were in the military on Memorial Day?
So,
Like, did they do anything on Memorial Day? Like,
so a lot of it is pretty much my Memorial Days, man, like when I went into the service, I didn't drink or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And like first chance in AIT you get out, that's the schooling portion of it. I just started drinking, and like I only really went to the service to get money to go to school. So
GI Bill.
so when I got in there, it was a lot of coping mechanisms. Like a lot of the soldiers in the first 2 years of their career are basically just trying to understand if they made the right decision, and then trying to focus themselves through the first 4 to 6 years of it, So I can't even tell you if I remember a Memorial Day. I may remember one, and the only reason I remember it because our drill sergeant, a man that was in excellent shape, could sing a song while you running and make you cry, actually caught an aneurysm the night before and passed away. And of course once that happens, it's almost, man, it's like a president almost dying. Like everything shuts down. Everybody is just in such disbelief, man, and then you really see like the slow songs, the flags, and what a death in the military means to not just that person's battalion, the whole base just really freezes up. So
that's got to be one of the hardest things to hear at a funeral.
Yeah, you're probably gonna start crying before they even put their mouth to the.
I mean, bugles pop up, rifles show up, and I gotta put my head down.
Yeah. Bro, I can't even talk about YouTube, and when you watch these videos of these soldiers coming home and their little babies running up
no way.
I'm
balling.
I'm
balling.
I don't even watch that. I
it,
turn
bro.
the channel, man, because I don't want nobody to say, "Oh man, Tory, you too emotional."
Right.
But like, man,
you can't watch that without
soldiers dressed up
in
in a mascot uniform, and his daughter runs over to him and he pops the head off, and she's
bro.
like,
I get teary-eyed just thinking about
Yes.
I'm done. It's crazy.
That's what I don't know if I'm getting old and soft.
No, man, that's the human.
Exactly.
And you got kids. The whole thing is that's you. Out of everything, you just then transferred yourself to that body, and it was like, man, I'm seeing my daughter that I might not have never saw if things went wrong.
Yep.
And you probably live that every night, Coty. Depending on the situations.
There's been some nights, not I got more of a day job now.
Right.
And look, man, like when it came to being the first generation not in the military, and we talk about my football injuries and all my back issues and all that stuff. So right before I enrolled in college, I was like, you know what? And Coty and I went together. Mm-hmm. We were like, let's go see it. Like, I still want to be part of this. Like, kind of like you. It was a camaraderie. Right. So we went like, went talk to a Marine recruiter. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this,
Right. And
the guy looked at me and he said, we did the test, did the whole thing, and he got my physical back, and he said, can't take you. I said, what? And he was like, son, you ain't no way you ever qualify for military. And I was like,
I actually had put a few applications out at some other police departments, and I had made the decision if I went hard in the next 2 months or whatever, that I was going. Jarred and I went together, and he got disqualified because of his physical, but I was going to go anyway, and I ended up getting a phone call, and I had a different path in life. But
and I didn't even tell my parents.
No,
my dad was drafted,
right.
So my dad has a little different approach to the military.
Right.
He was 5 years in Vietnam, but not his choice.
Right.
So
it's different.
When you're forced over there, and even now to this day, I have tried to get it, especially since we've been doing this. He's at my office all the time, and I'm like, hey, let's go sit down, let's talk. And he's like, you ain't turning that recorder on, because he gets emotional. And he, makes him feel soft, and he doesn't like talking about that. And I try to get him to talk about it.
It was tough, huh?
Oh man, and it's I'm gonna get emotional talking about this. So my dad has had this friend, Mr. Tom Post. When I was a kid, my parents worked their tails off. I mean, friends were in the neighborhood. If they didn't live in the neighborhood, my parents didn't socialize outside of our circle a whole lot. But when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7, my dad said, we're going to St. Louis. So what the hell is St. Louis? St. Louis, Missouri. My Vietnam buddy lives in, and he said we can go stay with him for a week and vacation in St. Louis. I'm like, hell yeah, I had no idea what St. Louis was. We went to Florida because that's where my mom was from, that's where our family was. We could stay for free every time we go to Florida, so you go to Florida. What's something different? I was like, cool. We go up and we see this guy, and he's got, 4 kids, Midwest white family, as you could, just imagine, nice big house, right? The arch, went to see the, art, it was crazy. Well, met this man, I couldn't have backed, never saw him in my life. Him and my dad, when they got together, I was 7, 8 years old the first time this happened. And, dude, when they embraced each other, it was like, hey, it was his brother. They had been best friends forever. And in my head, I never had this conversation with my dad. I always thought was like, man, that was cool. Like, how do you not know? I don't know this man. And you just like, dude, conversations they had all night long. Like, they stood up. And as I got older, as the years gone, they made trips down here. We made trips back up to St. Louis. He died a year on the same day my mom died a year later. My dad just got the letter. My mom passed away in December of 19. And February, he got a postcard from Miss Marie, which Mrs. Tom's wife, and said, Lou, sorry we couldn't make it to Pat's funeral, but you didn't know. And they had came down like 8 months previous and had dinner and all with my parents, and we went out. And so my dad came to my office, and he hands me this letter, and I'm reading it, and I'm going, and he loses
Crying.
it. And I didn't realize why I lost until I looked at the date. And I'm like, holy shit. And then talking to him about it afterwards, and we had a long conversation, and I started asking him about his relationship with Mr. Tom. And you would not imagine, I guess just like us, and they were only together, physically together in the same, I guess, camp you would call it, right? For like 8 months. They did training together, and then they were stationed in Vietnam for like 8 months. And that 8-month relationship turned into a 50-year relationship.
Right.
And how can you explain that? Like, that's something that, and they talked about the Vietnam, they talked about the military, every time they were together.
It's because they've been through it with you.
Right. I think that, and that's it. That's why I'm glad you said. I think that because only they have been through. Like, they can't have those conversations with
nobody else, right?
It's hard. It's hard to even talk about instances that you've had in law enforcement, with people who are outside of that haven't been through it. It's tough, man, and to be through something like Nam, with the constant combat, and you can't see the enemy because they shoot at you from thick jungle, and you're going through this day to day, minute to minute, second to second, not knowing if that's gonna be your last second, and you got one dude next to you that's going through the shit with you.
And you telling him everything. Hey, man, if I don't make it, man, this my wife's name, this my kid's name. If somehow you make it back, tell him I never stopped thinking about him. It's just,
that's
man.
the person that's taking your lead out, your
yes. And they saw this, man.
Right.
Man, that was hell. That was hell for anybody that went to Nam.
And they didn't get the welcome home party that troops get.
No, they got shit thrown at them and chastised, and come back to a country that hated them and blamed them.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they had no choice.
Right.
No choice.
Right.
Some of them were,
yeah.
But a lot of guys were
drafted in ours.
Yep. So that's man, look, that's tough. And every time I think about it, it's one of them things that I'm going, I hope we never have to put a draft situation back in. I hope you never have to,
Right.
But I'm pretty sure that we're one of the only developed countries that don't have some kind of military
program
force,
where
right?
everybody almost has to come through it.
Yeah, I know most developed countries have a year, 12-month kind of.
Some do, but I don't think like Europe and stuff has that. I think it's a complete voluntary army, just like us. I know like Israel, every man, but the purpose for them is because they're such a small country surrounded by enemies. They want every citizen to have military training, so that if an all-out war ever breaks out, every one of their citizens knows how to operate a firearm. They know how to how to handle themselves in a combat situation. So if you go into that country and invade, you're not just going against their armed forces. You're going against the entire civilization of trained soldiers.
You're going against
the whole
South
purpose
Carolina.
behind them. What's that?
I said they're going against South Carolina.
Right. I mean, most of I was in my position. I get to speak to a lot of recruiters for the military for obvious reasons.
Sure.
They come, and a lot of people don't realize it, man. But I was talking to the Army recruiter a few weeks ago, and when you talk about recruitment, Louisiana is one of the highest volunteer states in the Union. The South itself makes up probably 90% of the armed services. It comes from the Southern United States, and it's where he recruits from. So they know these statistics. Like the northern states can't compete with the southern states when it comes to just volunteer service. So when you say South Carolina, it's not just like it's all over.
No, I'm saying size-wise. That's why I said South Carolina.
Size-wise, right. I thought you meant
like when we always have these debates about this country or that country and this country. And I'm like, you can't compare countries to countries when you compare the United States.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Right.
It's it's just crazy. But yeah, man, I want to challenge everybody that's listening. Like I said earlier, to business owners, take a second and talk with your family, talk with your kids, talk with your neighbors. When you're sitting down barbecuing and you're having that beer, on Memorial Day, and take 30 seconds and just talk with people about what Memorial Day actually is, and have a moment of silence. Actually sit back and reflect on the things that you complain about a country that these people have given the ultimate sacrifice for. We have a tendency in this country to constantly complain about things and don't actually realize that what you're complaining about is why you're doing it. Like you can't complain about a certain thing that in 80% of 90% of other places you don't even have the option to complain about.
Right. It's true.
And so it's like just take a second and think about that, and remember that there are so many families that aren't celebrating Memorial Day, that aren't having barbecues because they don't have that person with them. They are the meaning of Memorial
Right.
Day. And if you know anybody personally, reach out, check on them. It's probably one of the hardest days in their life.
Sure.
I was reading some things online, and I searched for the name on the article and I couldn't find it. And there were some don'ts, Memorial Day don'ts. And I started reading them, and of course they obviously, like we talk about, Memorial Day is not Veterans Day.
Right.
Don't thank a veteran on Memorial Day because he or she does not want to be thanked.
Right.
It's not a day that they're thankful for. Don't not observe it, regardless of your political affiliation or your feeling of the politics in America. Don't politicize this day. This isn't about red or blue. This isn't about liberal or conservative. This is about the people that have lost their lives to believe and do whatever you want to do in this country.
You couldn't have those debates without those people.
Exactly.
Right. We're the only country in the world that has true free speech, because of the sacrifice those people made. Yeah, you wouldn't have red or blue, or liberal, conservative, or whatever. With
freedom of religion, freedom,
period.
Yep.
Without them. So yeah, don't make it political because it's not.
But a lot of people do.
I know. The whole reason you can be political is because of these individuals. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't want to, like I said, me personally, as I'm getting older and softer and have conversations with my kids and try to, mold them and have them, mold them into free thinkers, because we always say, I don't want to teach my kid how to, what to think. I want to teach them how to think.
Absolutely.
And this is one of those days for me that I want to teach them, the meaning behind it, that it's not just that
A
barbecue
holiday.
holiday. You know, that you don't got to go out and, you know, it's definitely,
Not a spending holiday.
yeah, you know. And if you're going to spend it right, spend it with the right people and spend it in the right places. You know.
All right.
And it's just what it is for me, you know. And I appreciate y'all having this conversation with me today. It's been something that I've wanted to talk about and have an open conversation about, but I've never had the audience and the people to have the conversation with, you know. And like every conversation we come across, we bring such a different dynamic to it. I was hoping that you would bring up, you know, your military background and how that comes about and how that makes you feel, because I know you have different. You
Feelings.
politicize a lot of stuff, right, that
Right.
happens in this country, and I had no idea where you were going to go whenever you started talking,
All right.
and I didn't know if you were going to.
I wasn't gonna knock it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't gonna knock it at all, because my experience isn't everyone's experience. You know, and a lot of times when we talk about things, once again, when I get to the deep gritty to it, you always hear me say, "This is my perspective or my point of view." So I never want the millions of people that look like me and talk like me and walk like me to think I'm speaking just for all of us, you know. And that's the same way with the military. I mean, I know so many people that then died for it. I got friends right now that's waiting on retirement. I got friends right now that's in the Marines, you know. So I would never damper their experience on my experience, you know. And I think that's something we should do in everything in life, because all of our experiences are never the same. So what it means to you may not mean the exact same thing to me, and I would be just downright an idiot to crash your dreams and your thoughts, you know, and your beliefs and your experiences in the military. So I wasn't going to do that on this, you know. Now, if we was just in a straight political beef like we always get, yeah, then maybe I probably would have brought some things up. But for the most part, this isn't the time for that, you know. So
Good for you, Cody.
I just echo what both of you said, man. It's a day of remembrance to me, you know. And I know you don't want to thank a veteran, but it's hard not to feel thankful for the country I live in and the rights that I have, and feel thankful and prideful of those who came before and made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have this great nation, you know. So I am thankful for them, and I am a proud American, and you know, if I do thank a veteran on Memorial Day, it's not out of disrespect.
Ignorance.
It's just about a deep felt thanks, you know, and you know, so to all y'all out there, thank you. I know I'm not supposed to do it on Memorial Day.
Well, yeah. Let me
I
clarify the
can't
intent
help
on that. What he's saying is that they don't want to be thanked. It's not Veterans Day.
I get that.
You know,
I get
that it's a day when you say thank you, it's like, well, you thanking me for living.
Right.
That's how this guy
right,
explained it in the article.
and my battle buddy is in
exactly.
here.
Because you're thanking me for the day that bullet grazed by me and hit the person
Right,
behind
and I
me.
get that, and I'm
So yeah, I get it. It's
Yeah.
kind of like what you say when you're at a funeral. You know,
Right.
what do you say?
Right.
It's that spoken word.
It
man.
is.
Right.
You know, shake the hand, look at him in the eyes, and give him a
Right.
nod. I don't know. I don't know what to
yeah,
say.
I don't know
But
either. I just, like I said, and I'm not. I am happy that they live. Happy for everybody that
absolutely,
lives.
sure.
But I'm not saying thank you to the fallen out of disrespect.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I truly am.
And I think they get that.
you know,
I think
thankful for
it's
that.
something, but I think it's that, like I said, the way the article and I read a couple of them, and they all kind of echoed the same feeling. Was not that they think the intent is there, but like Tory talked about I think it just brings up
I'm
those
sure.
memories and those
Feelings,
feelings, and it's
right.
like I don't feel thankful.
Right.
I don't feel like
Right.
this is a thankful time. And I get that, and it's hard because I echo what you just said.
Right.
I am very thankful, grateful, that they've served and they continue to serve, and people have, made the ultimate sacrifice.
Right. And being that you brought that up, Cody, like we kind of struggle with that every day in life. me and a few friends was talking about when people pass away. And, you know, people always tell you, I'm sorry for your loss, it's going to get better. You know, like, that person that's telling you that, they're not trying to be humane to you, but they don't know another way to show you their sorrow. You know what I'm saying? And we kind of got into it because people was like, man, people stupid, people know. I'm like, no, man, no. Like, think about this. You lose a person, right? And you're so used to people telling you, man, I'm sorry, you know, things gonna get better. You know? Yes, in the first 24 hours that you lose a person, you don't even really know who called you 100 times to tell you that, because your mind is one place, and when you getting these phone calls, you just saying thank you, hanging it up. All right, I appreciate it, hanging it up. You know? So those people are really not trying to be a part of a wave that just all want to come and give you some love. They genuinely hope everything gets better.
Absolutely.
And me, I was one of those people that used to tell people, man, sorry for your loss, you know everything's going to get better. And until, you know, I lost people to death, like older people, you know, my aunts and stuff like that. But until I lost my brother, I really felt the true meaning of, hey, it's going to get better, Tory. No, man, it doesn't. You know, and I don't want people to feel like you can't tell people things, but the feeling of losing a loved one to anything outside of just old age or medical, and even medical, it doesn't get better. So I don't knock people when they say, hey, Tory, man, it's going to get better, but I understand why they saying it. Yeah. You know, and that's the same thing with the Memorial Day deal. You're not doing it to be belligerent or anything, but your human side that's you showing your grief to them.
And it's tough. It's hard to find the right words in difficult moments. You know, but we're gonna end it on that topic, guys. Everybody, keep watching, keep following, keep looking up. Again, give that 30 seconds, that minute, have those conversations today. And remember, guys, the divide is not so wide.
Peace.